What is going on, guys? Tommy from Offroad Jeeping here. Figured to make a quick video for you guys. Do a little how-to video. How to mount bead locks on your own. A lot of people think to mount any sort of wheel in a tire, you need to go to a shop with a tire machine. And that's not the case. If you've got bead locks, you can mount them in your own garage with nothing except pretty much basic tools anyone has lying around. So what you're going to need is obviously a bead lock wheel. Got a Dirty Life Roadkill bead lock. Gonna need a tire. Got a 42 by 14 IROC for a 17-inch wheel. You're gonna want something that you can rest the wheel on and the wheel not be touching the ground. A paint bucket works great for this 75-gallon bucket, or if you got like a wire spool lying around, that's what I'm gonna be using. You're gonna want a nice piece of cardboard bigger than the wheel itself. You're gonna want a spray bottle with some soapy water. This is not iron remover, it's just the bottle I use, just water and normal hand soap. You're gonna want a torque wrench. You're gonna want sockets for both your tire valve and your ring bolts. And you're gonna need some valves. I just picked those up at my local AutoZone. So yep, let's get this box opened up and see what we're working with. Alright, so once you open it up, it looks like a pretty basic wheel package. Each wheel should come with its own instructions. Even if you're watching video on how to do it, still give a good look over your wheel's instructions. Every wheel is going to have a different torque rating, and there might be little discrepancies in each wheel. So make sure you read that well so you know what torque rating you're going to put on your bolts. Quick thing to note, most bead lock wheels aren't DOT approved. I've really never heard of anyone having any trouble being pulled over or anything for it, but something to note, I believe the only ones that are DOT approved are the Hutchinson bead locks. Got your basic stuff. Alright, now let's see what's hiding underneath here. There is the Dirty Life Roadkill bead lock. Sorry, can't seem to speak today. It's 8 lug, 8x170. So first thing you're gonna want to do, take off the 3 bolts they put holding the ring for packaging purposes. Okay, so once you got the bolts held on, just pull the ring off the wheel and then set it somewhere where it won't get scratched. Go ahead and set it on here, even though most people buying bead locks are pretty much gonna ruin that finish the first trip out. Still want to have it look nice and pretty at least for a little while. And then the next step is going to be put the valve stem inside the hole. Okay, so once you got the valve stem through the hole like so, you're just going to go ahead and slide on your washer and then slide on your nut. One thing to note when putting on your valve stem is you don't want to over torque it, because you don't want the seal to blow out. Like I think for this one it was rated like 12 inch-pounds. It's really not a lot of torque at all. Alright, so now it's time to lubricate the tire for the new wheel. Okay, so you're going to want to grab your soapy water and then just spray the outside of the, I guess the inside of the tire. Just make sure you get a nice layer that the wheel can slide onto afterwards. Now you're going to want to grab your wheel and you're going to want to place it ring side down into the hole of the tire. Let's see if I can do this with one hand. Alright, so once you got it placed on there, you're just going to want to sort of shimmy it in. You're probably going to need to use your foot a little bit. And as you start pushing in, you'll see they start to slide into the tire. And once you got that, you know you're on the right track. Then you pretty much start just applying some force to the other side to get the wheel in. Alright, wheel is in. One thing that helps a lot is sort of twist the wheel a little bit so it slides in. And one thing I figured I'd go ahead and note, since most people who buy bead locks are running tires a bit more on the aggressive side, a lot of these more aggressive tires are directional. So make sure when you're mounting your wheel you pay attention to which direction the tire moves. So you have 2 on one side, 2 on the other side, so you don't end up with tires facing backwards when you go to mount them on your rig, because it would suck to have to undo this whole process. Because undoing it's a lot easier, a lot harder than doing it. So once you get the wheel inside, you're going to want to flip the tire over and let the wheel sit on that bucket or spool. And the reasoning for the cardboard is, while you're wiggling the tire around to get the while you're wiggling the wheel around to get the tire, you don't want the wheel just hitting the floor. So that's what the cardboard there is for. So you're going to want to just pick up the tire. Wheel's going to wiggle around. Don't be worried about it. It's not going to fall out. So you're just going to bring it over. Super tight. And you're just going to try the best you can. See, that's what I'm talking about, the wheel moving. Don't worry, it's not going to come out. And just slide the tire over so the wheel sits right on what you placed. Okay, so once you got the tire on the wheel and the wheel a little bit off the ground, now comes the hardest part of this whole process, the most annoying part of this whole process. Easier with some tires than others, easier with some wheels than others, but you got to get the tire to sit flush against this lip all the way around. And here you can see a pretty big overlap. So you can do brute force. This is the third tire I'm on. One tire I actually was able to get on with a bicycle tire lever. You can go to your bike shop and they're like $2. They're really cheap, but they're made for getting bicycle tires on wheels. Those work okay. They're not really meant for this much strength, so I actually had a brake on the second wheel. And the second wheel, what worked really great for me was I put a ratchet strap going through the spoke here around, and what that was doing was forcing the wheel to come up against this side, which allowed the tire to have more room on that side. And then I just stepped on it and pried it little by little until it finally sat. Okay, so prime example of how some wheels are easier than others and some tires are easier than others, regardless of what brand you choose. This one here, like I said, I used the tire lever. A lot of force, but I got it done. Took me probably, I don't know, 30 minutes doing that alone. This one, I got it done with the ratchet strap in about 15. This one, literally just pushed down on it with my hands, and in about 30 seconds I had it around the ring. So if you're struggling with this, just know there's small discrepancies in the tolerances of these tires. Some are going to be easier than others, but yeah, so I mean, what worked best for me with the more difficult tire, just run that ratchet strap and make the free side hug against that lip so you have some more leverage on that side. So once you got the tire on the wheel, you're going to want to grab your ring, and then you're going to want to go ahead and get the ring in place. Now, if you're anything like me, I like to line up the badge with the valve stem just so it looks a little prettier when it goes together, but you can really mount that whatever position you would like. So you get that lined up with holes, and then you're gonna grab your provided bag of hardware, and you're gonna start by I do just 4 just to get the ring secured onto the tire. Just finger tight, nothing crazy, and then proceed with the others. Alright, so I've got the 4 bolts in there, and pretty much all I'm doing with those 4 bolts is securing the ring onto the tire so it doesn't slip off that inner little lip that we put the tire on. So yeah, these, I mean, I wouldn't go so far as to say finger tight. I'd say probably about like pretty much just grab the base here, so you're not really exerting any torque at all. But I mean, just putting it with your fingers, you won't even be able to get the bolt all the way down to the tire in most cases. So yeah, you just want it secured onto the tire, not really any torque at all. just to secure it onto the tire so the tire doesn't move anywhere. And then we're going to do the same with all the remaining ones. I'm not going to make you guys sit through that because that is a super long process. Yeah, so yeah, just pretty much on there but not torqued, every ring. And then obviously it's not imperative this step, it's more important when you go to torque them, but don't go in a circle. Go pretty much across and then across and across and just almost make a multi-pointed star all the way across the wheel. So once you got all the bolts on the ring sort of hand tight, you're going to want to grab your torque wrench. Now, I know a lot of us think, oh, we'll just do it by hand, do it by feel. I'm 99% of those times, I'm the type of person that leaves the torque wrench in the drawer and just does it by feel. But I'd highly recommend you guys actually use a torque wrench to get these rings torqued down. If you don't have one, go to AutoZone. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. It doesn't have to be super precise. They're like 50 bucks. Well, it's 50 bucks more when you're spending $400 a wheel and $400 or $500 a tire. So once you got your torque wrench, you're going to want to, so this is going to go depending on the wheel manufacturer. Each wheel manufacturer is going to have different instructions. For the Dirty Lifes, it's 10 to 14 pounds for the first time around, and I believe it's like 18-24. So you have some discrepancy there. So you're going to start 10 pounds of force, or set your torque wrench to 10 pounds, 10 foot-pounds, and just go that star pattern all the way across the wheel. I'd recommend doing it twice, if not 3 times, just because so many bolts, you're bound to miss a few, and even the ones that you don't miss, you're not really mounting on a hard surface, you're mounting on rubber, so they might not seat well, and I can almost promise you every single bolt you retorque, you're going to get another turn out of it. So yeah, I'll get back to you guys after I do a couple passes at 10 foot-pounds. Alright, so once you complete a few passes around with the 10 pounds, or whatever the lower of the two instructions is, then you pretty much repeat the exact same process with the next one up. In this case, Dirty Lefts is 18-24, so I'm going to set my torque wrench to about 20. And yeah, just across and across and across and across, all the way around, and then repeat the process, and pretty much repeat until each time you touch one of the bolts, it immediately just clicks on the torque wrench. Okay, so once you've done a few passes at 20 foot-pounds of torque, then it's time to seat the other bead. So you want to pull the cap off of your valve stem, and then you're just going to start pumping air through the tire. So you're just going to keep on pumping air. I'd recommend using like a pretty large compressor, especially if you're using a big tire like a 42, because that's a lot of air volume that needs to go in. But you're going to just keep on pumping air. About probably 75% of the time, you'll hear the tire seat. It'll be a big pop noise, and then that's how you know the tire is seated. But sometimes it'll just do like a nice quiet, slow slip. So I'd pretty much just, if you don't hear a pop, just keep on pumping air until you get to about 30 psi. There should be more than enough psi to seat it, and then flip the tire around and make sure it's nice and flush all the way around the rim. Alright, and then once you have the tire aired up and the bead has the tire is seated on the wheel, then you're good to go. You have successfully mounted a tire on a bead lock on your own, and you just repeat the process for all 4 tires. Now, being that it is a fairly time-consuming process, so you don't go absolutely insane. I mean, I'd do probably about 1 or 2 a day, because if not, you can spend 8 hours in the shop doing all these. Expect to spend about an hour a tire, especially if the tire doesn't want to sit on the wheel as you want it to, and you gotta wrestle with it either with a tire level, jumping on it, or with a ratchet strap, and then just go get them balanced and mount them on the Jeep. And then just periodically, every few miles, I'd say about every 1,000 miles, give the rings a good check, make sure they're still holding strong at that 20 pound-feet of torque. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.